Greetings and welcome back to yet another episode of the Daily Run, and today we're playing as Lazarus. Because this is a mom food daily on a hard mode, I wasn't too perturbed by it, I guess. I gotten quite used to them, but we are playing as Lazarus, which means we have that advantage of respawning as Lazarus too. And in most cases that would be pretty insignificant, like I said, but I think it does add a new layer of complexion or depth when you have a run that goes only to mom, because now suddenly you don't really want to sacrifice your 3 red healths away just on the off chance that you have to use a sacrifice room along the way. So for example, if you found the sacrifice room on the depths 1, for example, but we decided to sacrifice our health maybe on the devil deal on the 2nd floor, that means that we have 3 less overall red healths to work with. And of course, because red health is much easier to combat than spirit hearts, that also means that we really can't restock our health containers back up once we do sacrifice some of our health to it. So now we're stuck in a position where we really have to make a very conscious decision. Are we gonna get strong enough or find a way to generate more health via maybe the Book of Revelations or maybe Dark Bomb or anything like that? Or are we gonna stick with this layout and just hope that when we do respawn, we will be able to use that to our advantage? And I think that making the decision not to take too many aggressive devil deals in this situation was the right one. But what I ended up doing is actually found Goat Head and Abaddon, and I just felt like that was gonna be a net positive overall, because first of all, if you do get a Goat Head, that just means there's more chances for you to find items which will help get a better score, namely the shovel in this case. And Abaddon, of course, you're trading 2 red healths to get 6 black hearts, and I felt like that was gonna be a really big benefit to us, because now suddenly we're almost at full HP and we only need like 2 more spirit hearts or black hearts to be at full, and then we can really start playing the sacrifice rooms as early as possible if you of course want to do that. And also of course, because we are basically at the cap, it's really important that we don't get hit often, because we don't really have a guaranteed way of going about it. But I felt like I was gonna be pretty safe with Dr. Fetus, even though it's one of the most explosive items in the game, pun fully intended of course. It's still, I feel, a pretty safe item just because of how damaging it is, and if you know how to use it, I feel like you can really get through the game without hitting yourself too much, and I felt like I played well in that regard. Of course, I did still make some of those conscious decisions to really go in and buy certain items, or not buy, but trade my health away in order to get them from the devil deals, which maybe I shouldn't have, but overall, I still knew that I had my other form, so my Lazarus 2 form, available to me. So essentially it's like I was having 1 additional heart, but also because I had the deck of cards, every single pill is transformed into a card. So what I should really be doing here is using my bombs on the mom's mirror thingy that usually gives you pills, but because we have the item, then of course we can use that the starter deck to get cards out of it, and of course there's always a chance of getting something like a Hierophant or maybe even the Justice, which would then of course give us more health, or at least had the chance to give us more health. So besides that, this run is actually looking to go in a pretty good direction, and as always my plan is to try to get a teleport card, and if I can do that, then I'm gonna go to the mount floor, beat boss rush, and I'm gonna teleport out. But if I can't get a teleport card to get out of boss rush, then what I'm gonna do is try to look for a sacrifice room on depths 1, or maybe even prior to that, but usually on the depths 1 or the depths 2, and then using that to teleport to the dark room. And that's exactly what happened here. I wasn't able to obtain a teleport card to get out of boss rush, so it thought that in this particular scenario it's just gonna be better, of course, if I have no knowledge of the run or what's going on, that I should take the sacrifice room on depths 1, yeah, that's what I said, and then just go to the dark room that way. And I felt like in the average case that's gonna give me the most points. The math is still off on this one. Like I said, I never really do these maths on paper or on computer or in Excel or whatever. It's just my hypothesis in some sense that I feel like this is the right way to go about it. If you don't have any more knowledge, that's usually what I do, and I end up ranking relatively well. But as always, mom dailies are full of variance, and I think that some people found AWAS runes, whereas I didn't find not even a single one of them, and maybe they appeared on the next floor as opposed to this one, but really risking it to go to the next floor and knowing that we're kind of limited in time, I just felt like the time isn't right. And because the run was going rather slow, sure, we could have used the Emperor card to go to boss rush, but overall that would leave us with less points. We wouldn't have the chance to explore the entirety of the floor. If there was a shop and there were some good items in that, we would miss them as well. Or if there was a shovel, then we wouldn't even be able to pick it up because we would simply be running out of time. So I decided to go to the sacrifice room here. I felt like I had enough health because what happened is a blood bag like dropped in the second secret room. So now that I respawn, or when I do respawn, I'll have 1 red health and I can go pick that up. So I have 2 red health containers, and then you can use that health to play the sacrifice room even further. And of course, eventually, I hope that it's gonna teleport me to the dark room. And that's exactly what happened here. I was left in a pretty good position, not in a pretty good, actually it was a pretty lousy position, but at least I had enough damage. But of course, the first room that I went into just had a ton of enemies, which you really can't disperse well with Dr. Fetus because the bombs really don't bounce or go far enough. And the second room was filled with 2 adversaries, which was also quite unfortunate. You can see me trying to use the bombs here and clearing them. I had Book of Shadows, so I didn't feel too bad. But my mistake here was I thought the creep on the ground is mine, but it was actually from the enemy, and I ended up dying, which was unfortunate, but I think kind of expected. Having only 2 red health containers in the dark room with 2 hard rooms like this at the start, or not hard rooms, but our run just wasn't built for it. I just knew that disaster was gonna happen, and what can you do? You end up dying sometimes, but overall we still did finish with a pretty decent score of 25,600 points for a run that goes only to Mom. That's pretty decent, I can't complain too much about it, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope to see you next time.